Hello again. I am Blunty. Can we have a super serious talk about a super serious issue that affects us all as members of the human race and members, as surely quite a lot of you are if you've clicked on this video or you're a regular around here anyway, members of the gaming community, the worldwide gaming community made up of all kinds of people and all sexual orientations and all gender identities and all kinds of preferences and all kinds of, racial backgrounds and cultural heritage and geographical locations where, gamers are broad. And in general, I like to think that gamers are very accepting because we're all just usernames, we're all just handles, we're all just gamer tags to one another by and large when we're playing multiplayer games, when we're interacting directly with one another, either directly in game or in forums or in YouTube chat sessions. And, you might talk to someone and never have any idea if there's some sort of deviant that likes to play games on mobile phones more than real gaming devices. You just don't know, and I like to think most of us don't care all that much, even if they are mobile phone gamers. But the situation in the world as it is right now, and the discussions that are happening in the world right now, and actually actions that are finally taking place in the world right now, there is an aspect of gaming that is being called to attention by some people, and I managed to find one article here that sort of exemplifies the issue that we need to talk about. Let me scoot over here for a bit so I can get out of the way of it. I want to read this to you. It's from a website I've never heard of called Inclusive Gamers. Good enough goal. It's from a writer called Finn Stovenson. Never heard of him, don't know who he is, haven't bothered to look him up. But before I read you some pertinent points from this article, that's obviously, as you can see, that's titled, Why the PC Master Race Needs to Stop, and you can probably imagine the directions this is going to go already. But one of the first things I did is I wanted to race down to the comments to see what sort of craziness was happening in the comments, because comment sections, we all know, don't we? Especially here on YouTube. But there's only one comment on it, so I scrolled down to see what that one comment was, and the comment reads, I really like this article and I agree with everything it says. And it's from Finn Stovenson, the person who wrote the article. Let me read you this article here. The PC Master Race. The PC Master Race is a community of gamers that claim superiority over other gamers because they use more expensive gear. This community is mostly white, and they refer to game console users as peasants. This group of elitists are known for harassing console users on Reddit. This claim that the gaming community is mostly white, never supported anywhere in the article, just in case you're waiting for the big reveal of their source, of their statistics, the study they've done on how many white people use this term. I mean, to be fair, if you're throwing around a term like master race, chances are you're not particularly sensitive to that term. Chances are you're probably going to be white, but still, no supporting evidence here for that claim. Just, they're all white. Calls them a group of elitists, which, yes, but only the people who are using the term non-ironically, and to be absolutely fair, that's a very small percentage of the people who use the term PC Master Race. I know every time I've used it ironically or smirkingly or, offhandedly just to, try and bait someone into, bait a console person into getting all angry and stuff because, well, frankly, it's really, really easy to make people type in all caps when you're talking about gaming stuff. Classism against console peasants. The PC Master Race community refers to console gamers as console peasants, which is a dog whistle to keep the lower classes out of their community. Is it? It's a dog whistle, is it? The PC Master Race views themselves as superiors because they spent more money. No, it's because the games run better on PCs. High resolutions, faster frame rates. That's why they're superior there. They are playing superior versions of the game. This is demonstrable. This is fact. So this is likely due to the fact that white people can more easily afford computer-based because of systematic racism, and that they want to keep their master race as whites only. That's a long bow to draw. PC Master Race people who are using the term non-ironically are doing it to keep the lower classes down because only white people can afford expensive computers. I had to triple check that this article wasn't some sort of parody That I wasn't reading some sort of site that's a gamer-centric version of The Onion or something. Hitler's master race, the article continues. One thing that struck a point of interest while researching the topic of PC master race is the name. Remind you of anything? It didn't occur to me until it saluted me in my face. Hitler's master race! Strange how could these be connected in more ways than you'd think. Really? You heard the term PC master race and your brain never ever made the connection to the origin of the term master race? Like the entire reason that the term master race, where it came from in the first place? Wow. How catastrophically ignorant do you have to be of world history to not know that, to not make that connection, to not even think about, oh, jeez, why are they going around calling master race? That's a bit of a weird term. I wonder where that came from. Fuck. The PC master race is notorious within the community as top dogs having questionable actions in order to let console gamers know their place within the community and society. Do you know who else did that? This is where I started to get suspicious that it might be parody. Because that's the thing, isn't it? You know who else did this and this? The point being Hitler did this and this. That's, it's become a trope. A certain short guy with a lust for letting others know he was top dog. What does Hitler having to be short have to do with anything? Why are you body shaming Hitler? Who cares if he was short? Know who else was short? Napoleon. What does that say about short people? Also with this, PCMR sees other gamers who do not share their views as inferior and go on a personal hate train in order to either change or take down their oppression. I'm being oppressed. People's being mean to me on a forum. I'm being oppressed. All those who accept all, however, their subreddit is filled... Yeah, the PC Master Race subreddit's a good place to go. It's filled with teens gloating about how they'd be better because they're a PC gamer. These young white boys are spreading around the idea that they're better than everyone else, and it scares me. It scares me. It scares me because the Nazi Party thought the exact same thing. Really? The Nazi Party thought they were superior because they had more expensive, well, not PCs because World War II, guns, more expensive planes. That was it. That's why Hitler thought he was better than the Jews. Better, more expensive cars. The straight white... Oh, we've changed gears here. Now it's straight white males, not just white males, but the straight ones have dominated the world. Let me tell you, I've met way more gay people in the gaming community than I have in any other activity I've ever engaged with, whatever hobby it is. Everything from, photography to comic books to anything else. Gamers are, but way just... Straight white male has dominated the world for too long. First in politics and jobs, but now in gaming? In communities people thought were safe to meet others like them? Whilst the site may have been founded on love and support of other PC gamers, they allowed it to take over this vicious hate circle towards others. They allowed it without stopping it. They never once stepped in to discourage the attacks. Instead, they're just the master race. We would advise all who follow or subscribe to any PCMR's social media to stop now in solidarity with those they have hurt, the kids they have attacked and belittled for so long. Stand with us and say no to their Nazi propaganda. It literally says their Nazi propaganda. Okay, Finn. Okay. That ridiculous article aside, and nobody's read it. It's got 1 comment and 3 likes and everything, but I've seen references in and about this subject frequently over the last few weeks. Some people joking about it, some people sort of taking it very seriously, the people who were offended by everything getting really sort of angry about it. But it is a discussion that's worth having, because just like the N-word has certain connotations and certain people shouldn't be using it because of the connotations it has, does master race hold the same connotations? The term master race was and did, and it was created for a very specific purpose. But again, the portion of people who actually take it seriously, literally, straight-faced, It's a very small slice of the people who actually just use it in a more ironic sense or jocular sense. I mean, even if they're serious about it, even if very, very passionate about PC gaming, when they say or make reference to PC Master Race, they're not trying to be white supremacists ever. They're just trying to get under the skin of the console peasants because, well, the games do look and play better on PC than the normal console. It's just a matter of physics. But there's the intent and there's the connotation. And that's sort of some of the debate we're having at the moment in the world about certain things. Is it time to just stop doing and saying certain things, even if, the way we say them or the way we use them has nothing to do with the original concept of them? It's just got that sort of connotation, that weight, that baggage that it brings with us, with it, of the cultural baggage. Is it time to stop using the term master race? I mean, obviously we can't stop making fun of console gamers because they're console gamers. And obviously we can't stop making fun of people who play games on their phone, miserable little swipey tappy gamers. But do we need a better term than PC Master Race? I think it might be time. Because I'll tell you what, there are two other things about my hobbies in particular that have used this similar thematics. The first one is photography. Now, in studio photography in particular, and studio photography is not something I do. I just like to take my camera out in the world and just street shoot and landscape and things like that. But in studio photography and product photography and things like that, and portrait photography as well, you often use flashes, not on-camera flashes, because only fools who don't know what they're doing use on-camera flashes, but actual studio flashes. Flashes on stands and up around the world, and normally more than one flash. And the way that works is you have a master flash, which is connected to the camera, and you have slave flashes, master and slave. And so the idea is when you click on the camera sends a signal to the master flash and tells, I'm taking a picture now, fire the flash, trigger the strobe. And the master sends a signal to the slaves because they are slaved to the master. So they just do what it does. So when it fires, it tells them to fire at the same time. But it's a master and slave terminology. And that's been common in photography since the concept of master and slave flashes was invented, since electronic flashes were able to be synced to one another in that way, whether wirelessly or via a cable or whatever. They've all just been called master and slave because that's just the way the terminology works. And that always made me feel a bit uncomfortable, just that terminology, because of the social and historical connotations master and slave have. Before I even developed a passion for photography, back on PCs, as a matter of fact, back when I was dealing with a 386DX AMD chip way back in the day, the early to mid 90s or whatever it was, when computers were basically generic beige boxes with very few exceptions. And on these machines, if you were lucky enough to have multiple hard drives, these huge expensive things that can hold up to 20 megabytes worth of data, when you were wiring those up in your machine, it went through an interface called an IDE interface. It used a big, wide, flat grey cable, and there were little jumpers on the back of your hard drives. There were little rows of pins, and you would move a plastic jumper to short out particular pins to tell the PC whether it was the master drive or the slave drive, because the way the system worked, the way the computer would address those drives is one would be the master, one would be the slave. And similar in the way that master and slave flashes worked, you would have to have one that was the master and one that was the slave and all that sort of stuff. And that terminology always bothered me too, just seeing master and slave, stamped into the metal on the back of these hard drives. And I was like, ooh, surely there's a better words to use for that. It doesn't really happen like that anymore because hard drives don't work like that anymore. You don't have to slave them to one another in that fashion anymore. In general, I mean, there are exceptions, and I could dig into that if you like. And I'm sure someone's in the comment already go, actually, Blunty, in this particular setup, you actually do need to... Oh, yes, I know. But what do you reckon? Does the term PC Master Race have to die? Should photographers stop dealing with flashes when they're set up in sequence to be master and slave? Should it just be primary and secondary instead? Or is that too elitist? Oh, you've got one flash that's more important than the other flashes? How dare you? All flashes are equal. Hashtag all flash lives matter. I've been tossing around the jokes a bit in this video, but I did actually want to get legitimate feedback on how you feel, particularly about the PC Master Race thing, and the photographers in the audience, how you feel about the Master and Slave Flash thing. Has that ever made you feel uncomfortable? Always made me feel uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable enough to do anything about it because I guess white privilege. But it always just made me think, ooh, something in the back of my mind just went, that's a little bit cringy. Might be time to rethink that. I don't know. If you have a better word, a better phrase for PC Master Race, because again, we can't abandon the concept of being better than console gamers, because we are. But we need a better word for it, I think. More progressive word. But let me know in the down below. Thank you, as always, to the people scrolling by up top. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it made you think at least, or laugh. Maybe think and laugh. Thanks for watching. I'm Blunty. I'll catch you next time.